Today is
Hello
a
there.
special day.
I know.
This is something we have been looking forward to for what, 4 or 5 months?
Months. Yeah,
Like months and
months.
months. We have talked about this episode. We have talked about not even just making it into an episode, even just talking about what we're going to get into today. So this is one you don't want to miss. We have a special guest coming on today. And this is our first time having a victim's parent on the show.
When we started this, it was this fun thing. We
Yeah.
both love true crime. We love diving into the psychology behind some of these crimes throughout history. And there are things that have happened that I wasn't prepared for, that I didn't think about before we started the podcast.
Yeah.
One of those things was we are a voice. And I wasn't prepared that we would get messages and phone calls and emails from families of victims.
Yeah.
Or victims themselves who have experienced horrific crimes. And when we started this, I did have a different view of the justice system. I will be honest with you. I believed that when a crime is committed, due process occurred.
See, and I never felt that way because of things I experienced growing up. I, remember being with my grandmother and us going to a priest because and mind you, I came from a Catholic family, but we had went to doctors, we had went to, lawyers, we had went to police. No one was helping. It's one of those memories in my mind being like, here I am sitting in this priest's office with my poor grandmother, desperate for help. And when you've exhausted all avenues of the justice system and nothing is working, I wish back then I had someone to be the voice for me, or like my grandmother.
Yeah. And I will say, it's probably been about 3 years since I realized that sometimes justice isn't served.
No.
Oftentimes justice is not served. And it's shocking. And so then hearing from these families, and they're reaching out and saying, can you cover this case? Can you talk about my loved one? Was not something I was prepared for coming into this.
No.
I am so thankful that it's happening. So thankful. But it was just something that initially, when we started talking to these families, was shocking to me. And so her name is Samantha, and she is the mother of the victim in our story today. She had reached out to us months ago and told us the story. And it really shook both of us to our core.
We had so many conversations about this case. We have mulled over this. We were able to obtain police reports. We've seen it. We've seen it all. We have the autopsy report. We've talked about this so thoroughly. And, at first glance, you're like, well, I don't know. And then you get into it.
Exactly.
So when we first heard about it, we're like, okay, you really want to dig in. And you're like,
yeah,
could this have been an unfortunate matter of circumstance based on actions?
Yeah.
But then when you really start looking, you realize that things are deeper than what they appear, and something isn't right here.
Yes. Yeah. And so we wanted to bring this story to all of you today. This is different in the sense that when all of the episodes that you've ever heard Ashley and I ever do, save for our Buck Hill one where we went in person, it's very limited to what we have available to us on the internet or in books. So having a person on the inside who was able to send us every bit of information that she had was very different for us. It was very investigative versus just research based. So all this being said, I think we should get right into it. We've been working on this for months.
All right.
It was May 26th, 2018. A Saturday afternoon in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I love
You know
saying
what?
that.
That place, when I hear Chattanooga, I'm like, there's songs about it. Like, we gotta
Yeah,
go. We gotta go
I know.
there. Maybe
I
not after
know.
this episode because
Yeah, we might not be welcome there after this, but it's worth a shot. It was the kind of late spring day where the air sits heavy with heat. You can almost hear the sound of summer getting ready to start. A 911 call comes in. Shots fired on Basswood Drive. Within minutes, police arrive to find a young man lying motionless in a front yard. His blue shirt stained dark across the chest, a Nike headband still around his forehead, a cell phone and blood-soaked rag nearby on the driveway. That young man was Aaron Dakota Biddle. He was 21 years old. According to official reports, Dakota had come to that house, 7842 Basswood Drive, to pick up a few belongings from his ex-girlfriend, Dekaria Brooks. His mom told us that Dakota had been asking for a while to go get his things. So they had broken up. He still had stuff at his house. I mean, we've all been through this.
oh, yes.
And even that morning, he had texted her and said, "Hey, can I come by today and grab the last of my things?" And she said no. And she had been saying no over and over again. From what I understand from the text messages, he would ask, she would say, "Yeah, I'll get back to you." Never got back to him. He'd asked a couple days later, "Hey, can I come by?" "Yeah, you can come by at 2." And then 2 o'clock would come and she would text him last minute and say, "Do not come."
And that's frustrating in itself.
I know.
Okay, the relationship fell apart,
Mhm.
but he's being respectful and asking for his things.
That's exactly the point I wanted to make with this is as much as Dakota wanted his stuff, he was waiting. He was being respectful. He wasn't just showing up unannounced.
No.
He wanted to be respectful because Dekaria has 2 young kids and he loved those kids. By all accounts, like he just thought they were amazing. And so especially when you're dating somebody with children, you have to remember it's a package deal. You've got the woman, but those kids are part of it.
Yeah.
And not wanting to scare or hurt the kids, he was just very respectful. So weeks and weeks go by, he's asking, asking, asking. However, for whatever reason, while Dakota's at work, Dekaria calls him a couple times. Now he doesn't answer because he's doing his own thing. And he sees the missed calls and she sends him a text and says, "You can come by after." So he's like, fantastic.
Fuck yeah, I get my ship back. Let's
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. So it was supposed to be a quick stop. He was going to grab his things and leave. But inside that house was another man, Dekaria's boyfriend and baby daddy, Jadarius Knox. And within the hour, one of them would be dead. Dakota wasn't a chaotic person. He was funny, the life of the party, always acting silly and any chance he could get. His mom, Samantha, told us that everyone was bruh. Didn't matter who you were bruh. Mom,
I'm bruh.
I know. My kid calls me bro all the
I'm
time.
bruh. Like
Bruh.
I literally, my youngest,
Yeah.
it'll be like, "What's up, bruh?"
Yeah. He wasn't calling mom. He was calling her bruh. Dakota had a big smile and even bigger hair. He would avoid brushing it out because he didn't want to ruin his curls, which I can relate to so deeply. Even this morning, I was like, "Oh, maybe I'll wear my hair down. It'll be beautiful." And I'm looking at it and I'm like, we've let it go too many days. We have to brush it out. And then it's just a poof of mess. So I relate to this. Samantha told us a story that I could see clearly in my mind because my stepson loves sneakers and shoes. Everyone knew when Dakota would get a new pair of shoes because he would walk around like a penguin to avoid creasing them.
Yes. Last year, my youngest wanted these Jordans. And I was like, perfect.
That's exactly it.
Before school, he's trying to break them in. He wouldn't bend his feet.
Yeah.
And I was like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Well, I don't want creases." What do you mean? No, like they were clogs. Like he was from Holland.
I know when she told me this story, I saw it perfectly in my head. I was like, yes, I've seen this.
Yes.
Dakota wasn't perfect, but no one is. So, he made mistakes. We all do. He was 21. He's learning his way. He's learning how to have relationships. He's learning how to navigate, arguments and all this stuff. And he had plans. He was figuring life out. He was working. He was saving up. And he wasn't supposed to die.
It's such a hard age. It's almost like you're blindfolded and you're just bumping into walls throughout those first
Yeah.
couple of years, trying to figure out how to navigate being an adult, because it comes quick and it comes fierce. And then all of a sudden you're a grown up and you're like, but I'm still a kid at heart.
Yeah, yeah. These are those learning years, According to the Chattanooga Police Department's initial report, Dakota arrived sometime around 3. He texted Dacaria, "I'm on my way." She replied, "Come get your stuff." Inside, Knox was sitting on the couch playing a video game, reportedly an Xbox that would later become a part of the argument. Dacaria told investigators that Dakota came inside, gathered some things, then threw a mason jar full of pickle juice toward Knox. She claimed he pushed her out of the way and began hitting Knox while he sat on the couch. Now, there are a lot of questions that come up in this story, my friends. A lot of questions.
Now, keeping in mind, the accounts are based on, because no one was in there to really see what really happened.
Just Jadarius and Dacaria.
And Dacaria, remember, is the ex-girlfriend.
Yes. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say this didn't happen. I wasn't there, and we only have Jadarius's and Dacaria's telling of the account. But so I was like, throwing a jar of pickle juice. Listen, I've been there in my life. I've been to the point where I'm like, yeah, how about you have some pickles?
Right?
Like we all got mad, and maybe he did. Maybe he did. Maybe he was mad. Maybe he lost his patience, threw some things. It happens. So this is where the first question comes to mind, because Knox told police he didn't fight back, that he covered his face. And I have major, major doubts about this because of a few things. Now, I will say we have seen the photos of Jadarius after all of this went down. He does not look like he has been in a fight.
No.
There is, and I mean the smallest mark. It's not bleeding. It's not a scratch. It literally just looks like maybe he was slapped. Maybe the smallest mark on the side of his face. And he's got a nosebleed. I will give him that. Aside from that.
Have you ever taken a hit from an adult male to the face?
Yes.
It's not leaving just a little mark if you were getting beaten.
This is the thing. And again, and I do want to say this before we keep going. Ashley and I have read the reports. We have written this story out so that we can tell it to you guys. These are our personal opinions on what we have read and what we have seen.
So we are not by any chance calling anyone out or saying anything like that. However,
we're just stating facts. Yeah. And we have questions.
Yeah.
And I think you will have questions too. So this is the thing. And here is where it gets even stranger. Knox said the gun magically appeared beside him.
The magic gun.
I know, a magic gun. As Dakota was hitting him over and over again while he cowered, covering his face and not fighting back, he said, while Dakota stepped away, he just looked up and there was the gun. Bling! Magic gun.
You know, I would love if I could just look up and there'd be a pile of money. Or like look up and my laundry's folded.
That would be it for me. Folded laundry. Well, I don't know, but he's got it. And I have a hard time believing this because Jadarius wasn't this weak, innocent, gentle man. Jadarius has a record. Now, I will say the majority of his record is driving without a license, driving recklessly, not pulling over for an emergency vehicle, which fuck you. Guys, pull over. Stop.
But again, this guy is, to play devil's advocate, because we always like to be fair in our assumptions.
Yeah.
He's also young.
Mm.
You know? He's going to fuck around. He's going to make mistakes. Those things don't make him an asshole.
No, not at all. I just am like, you have had run-in after run-in after run-in with the law. And he claims that he found this gun. So the police are like, okay, cool, magic gun appears out of nowhere. Let's go with that for a second. Where did the gun come from? And he says while he's doing community service for a drug charge, so he's picking up garbage on the side of the road. He claims he finds this gun and wraps it in a bag, hides it in the bush, and comes back to retrieve it later.
The magic gun.
Okay. And again, let's say I screw up, I'm speeding, and I end up getting community service for it. I'm picking up garbage on the side of the road. I have fucked up. I am not a good driver. I am screwing around with my driver's license, et cetera, et cetera. Why are you keeping a gun? Don't keep a gun. Don't keep a gun that you find. That's bad news. A gun that you found in the ditch. If you don't want to be in trouble anymore, you're telling your supervisor about this.
I don't fucking care if he found the gun doing community service, if he bought the gun. The point is, he got his hands on a gun, and people don't keep or hold on to guns if they have no intent of ever needing to use that gun.
Yeah.
So right off the top.
And, you know, you can have guns in Tennessee, but you can't have guns that you found in the ditch in Tennessee. Like, come on.
Random. Come on. No.
No. So back to the scene. Says he looks up, sees the magical gun, grabs it, runs outside, and that Dakota followed, carrying the Xbox. So from what I understand, when Knox sees this magic gun, he sees the gun. Dakota is in the back bedroom taking some of his shirts out of the closet. So he's got...
Which, Chantal? If I am calling my ex, yep, have all your shit together. Come get your stuff. Your shit's not still hanging in my closet. What is happening?
So Dacaria does address this. And she said she had all of his stuff ready at the door, but that when he came in, he was like, there's stuff missing.
Okay.
This goes back to the fight. Maybe it happened. Maybe Dakota comes in and he's pissed. This guy, he's been trying to get his shit back for weeks.
And maybe Buddy said, fuck you.
Yeah.
And that's where it all... Yeah.
And that's where it all started. So this is so important for you to understand because this is what the whole case hinges on. So I want to paint the picture. Dakota is in the back room. He's getting his shirts. During this, Knox says he looks over, the gun is sitting there, which we're going to touch on in a little bit anyway, but he sees the gun. Jadarius takes the gun and goes outside the house. Dakota is in the house. He grabs his shirts. As he's leaving, he sees Jadarius is no longer in the living room. He's like, perfect. Grabs his Xbox. Jadarius is outside. Dakota comes outside. Jadarius says he cocked the gun shortly after he got outside. Now, and I'm going to say this so many times during the telling of this, they're no longer in a fight. Dakota is leaving. Dakota is unarmed. Dakota comes out the door and heads to his car. Jadarius says Dakota looked at him, saw him with the gun, and said, what are you going to do? Shoot me? And this tells me how much Dakota did not think he was in danger. Because
100%.
If I am in fear for my life because someone has a gun pointed at me that I've just had a fight with, I'm not saying, what are you going to do? Shoot me? I'm saying, please don't shoot me. I didn't mean to piss you off. I'm sorry. How about I leave the Xbox here? I'm going to go. Dakota was so sure that he probably looked at Jadarius and thought, what is this clown doing with a gun?
Mm-hmm.
And almost in a, not in a joking way, but in an unbelievable way. Like, what are you going to do? Shoot me?
Right.
And he did. Jadarius raised the gun and shot Dakota in the face. Dakota is unarmed. Dakota was leaving. He was leaving. He wasn't coming at him. He wasn't lunging at him. The fight was over. Dakota had his shit and he just wanted to go home. According to the Hamilton County Medical Examiner, the bullet traveled backward and slightly downward, passing through Dakota's paranasal sinuses and fracturing the facial bones before severing the brainstem. It was instantly fatal.
Now keep in mind the angle in which they just said that went through.
Yeah. Neighbors later told police they heard just one gunshot. One woman saw a man with a rag on his face. Another saw a woman kneeling beside Dakota's body. And this adds up. The man with the rag on his face is Jadarius. Like I said, he did have a nosebleed. The woman on the ground next to Dakota is Dacaria because she's now heard the gunshot. She's come out of the house. By the time paramedics arrive, Dakota's already gone. He was pronounced dead at 3:42 p.m. This 911 call, I'm going to play a little bit of it right now.
911, what's the location of your emergency? Hello? Where are you located?
78 West Two Basswood Drive, San Luis, Tennessee 37416.
Okay, so you're 7842 Basswood Drive between Basswood Lane and Nautical Way?
No, it's not medical. I need an ambulance.
Off of Stony Oak?
Yes, I'm running home.
Okay, and what's going on?
Where my ex was coming to pick up his stuff out of my house.
Okay. What happened, man?
Oh my goodness. My child's father was sitting on the couch when he came and pick up his stuff. He was getting his stuff, he was just trying to get his attention. So he took my change and stuff, and I asked him to get my change stuff. And he found the jar that was sitting on the ground. He threw the jar. Oh my goodness,
Hi, man. My
he
name's
took
Sam.
out the jar that was...
Hey,
yeah,
this is 911. What's going on over there?
I think he dead on the floor. He was... Oh... Yeah.
Shoot him? Is that what happened, or did he shoot someone?
No, the person, my ex came to pick his stuff up from my house. He threw a jar at my child's father. And then he ran back into the house and just jumped on him and started beating him up. But he never hit him back. He just waited till he picked up the game, threw the game at him. He broke my TV. They went outside. I was standing right there. I guess my boyfriend somehow he finally got the gun.
Okay.
And then he just shot on my boyfriend. He's not.
Okay.
He's leaking.
Right. The guy who did the shooting, where is he at?
He's standing right here.
Okay.
I know everyone reacts differently in a situation of high stress and high shock. I get it. I don't ever want to come on here and be judgy about how someone reacts. This is a weird 911 call.
It's the weirdest.
It's weird.
It's so weird.
And I don't know if Dacaria was under the influence of something. Like, there's so many things so many questions about this that we don't necessarily have the answers to. All I'm going to say is weird. It's a weird 911 call. I don't know. Samantha says she got a Facebook message from Dacaria that said, "Call me now." When she answered the phone, Dacaria said, "Dakota came over to get his stuff. He's gone." And Samantha said, "Where did he go? Did you guys get into an argument?" She didn't say anything. And Samantha said she could hear sirens and commotion in the background. And she said, "Where is my son? Is he dead?" And Dacaria said, "Yes."
I got full body chills. I can't imagine.
Yeah.
It's not even comprehensible in my mind as a mother to ever hear that.
Yeah. According to the official case file, Knox was charged with criminal homicide. But the narrative self-defense started shaping itself before the ink on the warrant was dry. And for Samantha, every time she asked for updates, transcripts for the interview tapes, which we'll get into very shortly, or anything that resembled transparency, she was told the same thing. You need to let this go. We're taking care of it. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. This is your child.
Well,
your child is gone. The only thing you have right now is the information to know what happened in those final moments. That is all a parent could ever want to know.
Right. Because this was her son, not just a case number. And I fully understand paramedics, police officers, medical examiners. This is what you do day in and day out. Maybe this is the fourth call you've responded to today. I understand that. But he was a person.
Mhm.
He was someone's son. He was someone's brother. Like,
This is a baby that she taught to walk, potty trained, held in her
yes,
arms in the middle of the night when they
yes,
teethed.
exactly. Initially, Samantha felt like everything was being done, but cracks started to show pretty early on. When someone dies violently, there's supposed to be order in the aftermath. There's procedures, chain of command, scene integrity. Those are things we're told to trust, that someone somewhere is making sure everything gets documented. But for Samantha and her family, what came next felt nothing like order. According to official reports, when detectives arrived less than an hour after the shooting, 2 vehicles were in the driveway, a silver Chevrolet and Dakota's gray Chrysler. Behind that Chrysler on the ground was Dakota's body. Now, again, because he was leaving, guys. They weren't in the middle of a fight. Dakota was getting out of there with whatever he had. Detectives noted a cell phone and a blood-soaked rag in the driveway. Inside the home did describe signs that a struggle took place. So the TV was kind of knocked, wires were pulled loose, which is consistent in Dakota grabbing the Xbox out of the wall. There was a trash can overturned, and there was blood throughout the living room and bathroom, which again, I can only assume was from Jadarius's bloody nose.
100%.
When Samantha eventually saw the photos and read the reports, what stood out wasn't chaos, it was carelessness. She would later notice that investigators had evidence lying exposed. Hands were not properly bagged until after EMS had already moved the body. And a paramedic caught on another officer's body cam snapping a photo of her son on a personal cell phone.
Now, can we pause here for a minute?
We sure can.
Because let me fucking tell you, if I ever found out somebody who is working the scene is taking photos of my dead child with their personal fucking device, that's enough for me to go completely banana sandwich. That is the most disrespectful, and it's not legal.
It is not. This is a big problem, and here's why. And I have watched this because it was all caught on body cam, and we have the body cam.
It. We've seen this.
I have watched this over and over and over again. I have tried to put myself in the position of the EMS. First things first, they moved his body. Now, they moved his body because they had to make sure there weren't signs of life. And I do understand that. But there was a fuck up because before you move the body, okay, everyone has police issued cell phones. Okay, all these officers. Before you move the body, you snap a couple quick pictures. We need to know what position his body was in when you found him. That didn't happen. So what ends up happening is they flip Dakota over to check for signs of life. After they have flipped him over and determined that he is in fact gone, they have a conversation about flipping him back into the position they found him in, which I'm already upset. And guys, I know that's a fuck up. I get it. And I can fully understand in that moment, the paramedics and the police officers were probably like, shit.
Yeah.
We shouldn't have done that.
And
I
everyone
understand
makes mistakes.
that.
And of course, you know what? The paramedics arrive, like, flip the body, do whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
But this was wrong. This was wrong to watch.
You flip it. I know. You flip it and you say, shit, we fucked up.
Yeah, you leave it.
Supervisor, we flipped the body. We didn't take a photo before we flipped it. I'm sorry. Is there going to be a ton of paperwork? Yes. Are you going to be in shit? Probably. So they flip him over. They check for signs of life. There's no signs of life. They flip him back into what they think was the position that they found him in. And then one of the paramedics pulls out her personal cell phone. And we're going to get into all the complications of this in a little bit, and takes a photo of Dakota. So many violations, so many things are wrong. Because in death, even in death, Dakota deserved dignity.
Mm-hmm.
So Samantha has asked for an internal investigation into the medic's actions, and to this day, she still has not received a clear answer on this. Then came the interviews. According to official reports, police spoke to several witnesses that day. A neighbor, Mildred Ivory, said she heard one gunshot, saw a man with a rag on his face. Another witness, Dakota, claimed she saw Dakota throw a jar of pickle juice at Knox, push her aside, and begin hitting him before Knox fired. But Dakerea's statements changed slightly over time. The early interview said Knox didn't fight back. Later, that detail became a little bit more ambiguous, that he left the house and waited outside before the shot was fired. Another thing that I want to mention is, yes, Aaron was shot in the face, and there is trauma associated with someone being shot in the face. However, and I am not a medical examiner, I am just a podcasting mom in Ontario, Canada. Okay. When I looked at the photos, it looks like he was potentially hit. He has some scratches, he has some bruises. Maybe it's from the shot, but I don't know, guys. It doesn't make sense to me. And maybe there is a medical examiner who could better explain it. But he's got scratches. You don't get scratched from getting shot in the face.
It's a one entry point.
Yeah. So I don't know. Questions there. And I would love to tell you what Jadarius Knox had to say about all this. Because when we started to get to know Samantha and started diving into this case, I said, this is wonderful. She sent me everything. She sent me Dakerea's whole interview. She sent me Mildred's interview. She sent me all the paperwork, everything. And as I'm going through all of these, I sent her a quick message. I said, hey, Samantha, it doesn't look like I have Jadarius's interview in here. And she says she's never seen it. She's never heard it. She's been asking for it for years now and never gets it.
Now, this is a very important part of what is going on. And I will never share as to why, I think. I think we can all, use our imaginations as to why all of a sudden somebody who committed a crime is now being so viciously protected by law enforcement to the point where their interview was not recorded and put into the case. It's absurd that they have every other piece of evidence, but the main one that would make or break the case is somehow unavailable.
The most important one, because why do I not have access to the killer's statement? Big problem. Big problem. So let's go back to the self-defense thing a little bit, because I do want to explore this a little bit more. Knox's own account. So all we have of Jadarius's account is the brief, what's written in the police report. So we don't have it in his own words. We just have what the police are saying. He's kind of painting himself as a reluctant victim. He's like, found the gun by chance weeks earlier doing community service, hid in a trash bag, just happened to have it that day. He says, Aaron said, what are you going to do? Shoot me. And that's when he pulled the trigger. According to the autopsy, like we said before, the shot entered just below Aaron's eye at an intermediate range, meaning it wasn't fired from close contact, but not from far away either. And it was face to face. Now, that single fact calls everything into question, because if Jadarius was running away, defending himself, or scared for his life, why did the bullet travel backward and slightly downward straight through Aaron's face?
Key and point slightly down.
And this has kept me up at night. Because when we're looking at any of these cases, but especially this one, I do put myself in everyone's shoes, including the killers. And I am picturing, okay, so they're outside. What if Dakota, sorry guys, I know I go between Aaron and Dakota. He went by Dakota. What if Dakota charges at Knox? But then, if that was the case, the gunshot wouldn't have been intermediate range. It would have been close range, because they're not far away from each other. They're close. So if all of a sudden Dakota charges at Jadarius, that's a close range shot. And that's not what happened, because And all the facts shows that Dakota was leaving. He wasn't charging at him. The fight, whatever happened with the fight was over. It had been over for minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot figure out any type of situation where Jadarius felt like his life was in danger in that moment. I just can't.
Especially considering, Dakota had time to calmly say, what are you going to do? Shoot me? Right there, that tells me he was able to talk. If this is like an all-out brawl, you're not calmly stating, what are you going to do? Shoot me? That's not a thing.
Dakota was unarmed.
Right.
You know what? This would have been a completely different story if Dakota had been carrying.
Even if Dakota had a baseball bat, I could see it being a different story. He had nothing.
He had nothing, guys. He had shirts in his hand and an Xbox. As Samantha's reading through the reports, she saw words like self-defense, cooperative suspect, no sign of a struggle. The same recycled language that we see over and over again that turns these victims into footnotes. And then came the struggle with the bond. Knox's bond started at $750,000, which seems reasonable to me for shooting an unarmed man in the face.
Yep.
As the case progressed, it was dropped to $200,000.
It's a big jump.
Still not pocket change. The average family isn't coming up with $200,000.
Sorry, kids, you're going to have to sleep there for a little while.
Yeah, right?
That's not a lot of money in the grand scheme of someone lost their life.
Yeah, exactly. And then, on drop, Jadarius Knox's bond was dropped to $10,000.
$10,000. How do you go from $750,000 to 10 grand?
10 grand and you have to understand, in the United States, and I think it's the same here in Canada, if your bond is 10 grand, you go to a bail bondsman and you just need to provide 10% of that, which is $1,000.
$1,000.
Which his family did because it's $1,000.
Right.
For shooting a man, an unarmed man in the face. Like, I can't say this enough because I really want to drive this home. He got off on $1,000 cash for shooting a man in the face.
Frustrating.
Samantha's fight for information started immediately because I cannot imagine knowing that the person who killed your child has walked away from jail on less than what rent costs.
Right.
She asked for the interview tapes. She wanted the body cam footage. She wanted the full investigative file, which she can have access to. But all she got were redactions, delays, and rejections. She was told more than once that she was being rude.
Rude.
That she needed to stop asking questions. The case is closed. But what is a mother supposed to do? There are things that do not add up. And I can fully understand you listening may be thinking what we initially thought. There is a blind rage that must occur when you lose your child in this way. And we see this all the time where parents have a hard time accepting the case is closed.
Yep.
The person, it was self-defense. We're sorry. There's no one that's going to serve time for this because, the child was part of the altercation. They were threatening, whatever. After looking at this for months, that is not the case here. There are questions that, and not even just a mother, anyone would have when looking at this case. And every time that Samantha goes to these agencies and asks for basic answers, she's told she's difficult. She's told she's rude. She's told to stop asking questions. And I can't, it was so frustrating watching her over the last couple of months. And we've only known Samantha for a few months. She's been doing this for almost 7 years.
Yeah. And you know what? Fucking be difficult. Be rude. Because you're not getting the answers you need. And that is your baby.
Yeah. And guys, the official documents mention abrasions and bruising on Aaron's face and hands. Hands, sure. If we're going with the story that Dacaria and Jadarius are telling, sure, he's going to have bruises on his hands. Why does he have them on his face if Jadarius never struck him back?
Right.
Something doesn't add up here. Officially, the case was cleared by arrest, meaning the suspect was identified and charged, but in practice, it stopped there. Knox's story, or what we know of it, is that he feared for his life, just became the narrative of the record. But Samantha has not stopped. She kept calling, kept emailing, kept documenting every unanswered message, every "we'll look into it," every "you're being unreasonable." Because what the police saw as a cleared case, she saw as a wound that would never close if she didn't get the answers she needed. And guys, Samantha has, I want you to picture the big binders, like the ones you had in biology, the thick bitches, okay?
Yeah.
She has every phone call documented, every email, every image, everything. And she's probably been through that binder hundreds of times, and she still has questions. I know laws and rules vary from country to country, and I understand that things are different in the US than here in Canada. But in my own opinion here, the way Samantha has been treated by the ADA's office, the ADA's office, the sheriff's office, and even some lawyers is appalling. And that's
Absolutely
just my
appalling.
opinion. Yeah.
Because I just want to say, had it been their child, had it been their fucking
That's just
child,
it.
would be a
That's just
whole
it.
other story. And I think for me, we've had hours and hours and hours of conversations over the span of many months about all of this.
Mhm.
And it all circles back to Dakota was invited there. Unbeknownst to him, was a man who was packing a gun.
Yep.
Like, he didn't just show up kicking doors in. He was invited. They had a weapon. He just went to get his things. He ends up shot, and fucking asshole is out free. And those are the facts. It doesn't take a fucking investigator to realize that these facts are very simple. And yet he's being protected, and I want to know why.
I know. So before we have Samantha on so that you guys can meet her, because she's truly a remarkable woman, truly a remarkable mama, and we just want you guys to hear it from her own mouth. Before we invite her on, there are 2 items from this case that I want you to take away from this. That 2 items that I could narrow down that caused me the most losing of sleep. Firstly, as I mentioned earlier, when the paramedics showed up to work on Dakota, they moved his body without taking pictures. Then they realized they did that. One of the paramedics moved him back into position that they thought he had been in, and they took a picture from their personal cell phone. Now, this is a major HIPAA violation. HIPAA stands for the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act of 1996. It's a U.S. and Canadian federal law designed to protect sensitive patient health information from being disclosed without the patient's consent or knowledge. And you might say, well, he was dead. Patients are protected by HIPAA for 50 years after they pass.
50 years. Keep that in mind.
This was within minutes. They're already violating HIPAA. When Samantha brought this to their attention, she was basically told this doesn't play into the investigation, which is so upsetting to me, because maybe not. But the fact remains, we only have a brief moment when the police officer first shows up with the body cam on, and it's not clear because he's moving around. We have a brief moment where we see Dakota in the initial position where he died. After that, it was a guess. They moved him into where they guessed he was. To me, that plays into the investigation.
Majorly.
Yeah. The second thing, and we just talked about this in length, but I just want to bring it back to everyone's attention. We have Dakaria's interview tape, the whole thing. We have the neighbor lady's interview tape, but Samantha's been trying to get Jadarius's interview tape for over 7 years now. And when I tell you that she has been passed from person to person, agency to agency, it is wild. This is a mother of a victim looking to have all the pieces to the puzzle of her son's murder. This isn't difficult. This shouldn't be difficult. And yet, the most recent interaction, and this will just blow your brain, guys. The Chattanooga Police Department told her and I quote, "The Chattanooga Police Department has reviewed its files and has determined that the requested records no longer exist." Now, here's where this is a major red flag, my friends. This case was dismissed without prejudice. This means it can be reopened with new evidence. So let's say, for example, Jadarius were to confess to someone in a year, in 5 years, in 10 years, okay? He tells someone, you know what? That's not how it went down. I lied. This case could be reopened. It could be retried because it was dismissed without prejudice. But if the
Can't now.
if the police department is saying they no longer have the single most vital piece of evidence, the killer's statement,
It's a
then
mistrial. There's no trial.
It
It
can't
can't go
happen.
further. It cannot go further. And in my opinion, and this is just me thinking about this over and over and over again, that had to have been an intent, like that was intentional. Because what do you mean?
And again, we are not coming on here to accuse anyone of anything. We're literally looking at the facts that we have. We would have loved to have had Jadarius's interview before we did this case. We've been asking for it for months. I did not want to come on here and make wild accusations towards these agencies. I am literally telling you what we have in writing from the department is that the requested records no longer exist.
Right.
So there are so many moments from this case and from speaking to Samantha that made my blood boil because while I can't put my finger on it exactly, something stinks here. And I have had to do a lot of internal work to get to a point where I tell myself we might have to be okay with never knowing. Because if that is in fact true and they don't have Jadarius's interview, then what is there to do? Joining us now is Dakota's mom, Samantha.
Hi.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, thank you.
Samantha's joining us from Chattanooga, Tennessee, and we are freezing up in Canada.
What's the weather like out there, girl?
It's freezing in the morning and like early summer day in the afternoon. Yeah.
Beautiful.
It's snowing here. We're getting a snowstorm tomorrow.
Oh, nice. I wish I'd love that.
Yeah. Do you?
Yeah.
I know. We always want the opposite of where we are,
'Cause
right?
we don't get much here. We'll get a dusting every once in a while and then it's gone in 30 minutes.
Oh, girl,
Yeah,
you come up here.
We've got a couple inches coming tomorrow. So
yeah,
that should be
wow.
fun.
Wow.
Yeah. All right, Samantha. We're going to get right into this. It has been an absolute pleasure you letting us into your life and into Dakota's life and giving me the opportunity and the honor to learn more about him and the terrible way that he left this earth. I know this isn't necessarily easy to talk about, but can you take us back to that day and the moment you found out what happened to Dakota?
Yeah. So I had been helping my mom do some chores at her house, and I called Dakota, like I always do throughout the day to check on him, and I did the same thing to my daughter. And he said he was helping some friends, and I said okay, and he was like trying to rush to get off the phone, and I was like, okay, I love you, and he's like, I love you too, bye. So, and then after that I didn't speak to him for the rest of the day. So that was maybe 1:00, and then I was driving home and I got a Facebook message from Dakiria that said, call me now. And I was like, oh my God, okay. So I call her and she said, Dakota came to get his stuff. And she said, and he's gone. Like just no emotion in her voice or anything. And I was like, did y'all get in an argument? I was like, because I figured that's what had happened. And I was like, where did he go? And she kind of paused for a second and she said, he's gone. And then I heard police radios, all kinds of people talking, the sirens, everything. And it just kind of shocked me for a second. And I said, where is my son? I said, is my son dead? And she said, yes. So I started screaming at her. I was like, let me talk to the police. Let me talk to who's there with you. It took her a few seconds, but I think the officer took the phone from her and he kind of just told me there had been an incident and that I needed to come. So I turned my car around. I flew to that location, but I don't even know how I got there as fast as I did because my foot would not stay on the gas pedal. It was shaking, so bad.
Yeah.
It was shaking. And I was just like, please don't let this be true. Like, this cannot be true. Maybe there's just an altercation, just please don't let it be true. And as I get there and kind of cross the hill, you could see the crime scene tape. You could see the ambulance. You could see all the police officers, the blue lights flashing. The whole neighborhood was outside.
Yeah.
People were using their phones to video it, Facebook Live it. And I don't even remember, I'm surprised I even put my car in park,
Yeah.
And I slammed on the brakes. I got out, I took off running, and a police officer stopped me and he would not let me go down there. And I just kept begging him, please let me go. Please let me see him. And he said, I can't do that. I can't do that. So I instantly started vomiting. Like I was, my nerves were just shot. And I called my brother. I didn't want to tell my mom at the time. And because I was afraid she'd have a heart attack or something.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I called my brother. He came. He came really quick because he was about 30 minutes out, but I don't think he took his foot off the gas pedal.
Yeah.
He came, we sat there. People just, the officers kept coming up to me, talking to me, like trying to make sure that I did not sneak around, the back or something. Yeah. And really, that's all that I can kind of remember. They kept asking me to go to the hospital. And I was like, I don't need to.
Yeah.
And when my brother got there, he made me get in the ambulance just so I could lay down and, try to calm down. And they took my vital signs. My blood pressure was like 68/42, and my pulse was 166.
Wow.
Yeah. And he said, ma'am, you're going into shock. He's like, we really need to get you to the hospital. And I said, I'm not leaving until I see him. And they wouldn't let me.
Yeah.
So they took me to the hospital. And then everybody just started coming in my room. And I just wanted my daughter. Even Dakota's father, that's never been in the picture, popped up in my room. And I'm like, what the hell? Why are you here? Like you're here for attention. You need to be here.
Yeah. Yeah.
But after that, I think my mom and my friends, they took me home, and I was pretty out of it for the next few days, like with Ativan and, just sleeping for the most of it. My mom and my brother and my friends went to the funeral home and did most of it for me, which I was okay with. And the next thing I remember is when I had to go view his body.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
The weight of that as a parent to hear that, Samantha, that's awful. I am so sorry.
Yeah. I'm so sorry you had to experience
There's
all of this.
That Dakota and Jadarius had words before.
Yeah.
Because when Dakota lived in the apartment, I remember Dakota calling me and saying, Mom, he said, he just walked up in my apartment. He didn't even ask because he was coming to get his daughter, supposedly.
Okay.
And he said, that pissed me off. And I was like, well, I'm sure it did. I said, you need to talk to Dakiria and tell her that's disrespectful. He shouldn't be doing that. He should knock on the door. You should give him the baby and be done. So I think that was something that really pushed Dakota over the edge. And then things just kept escalating verbally.
Yeah.
And
as they do. These are young kids, really.
Yeah.
We'd all have to be completely delusional to think that we haven't had words with someone or beef with someone. Right. It should never come to this. This is crazy.
And we mentioned at the beginning of the episode, no one is perfect. And we all have done things at 20 years old and 21 years old.
Absolutely.
That, we look back at now and think, oh God, like
I'm just
I probably
glad
shouldn't
there
have
were
done
no
that.
phones and cameras back when I was fucking around because I was fucking around.
Yeah.
Like I was doing some shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you for sharing that moment with us because I'm sure, it feels impossible to get through. I would really like you to walk us through your treatment so far and asking for the evidence that you want to close this chapter for yourself, even just to get peace. And what are you being denied?
Well, at first it was a different, district attorney's office. It was the assistant that was with us the entire time. I did ask to speak to the DA himself, Neil Pinkston, and he wouldn't talk to me. We asked several times to speak to him and he wouldn't talk to me. At that time, I was asking for all this stuff that they put into play, this text message I still have never sent or seen. Anything that I could think of to ask. And of course, they wouldn't give me anything because there was supposed to be a trial. And they kept telling me, don't worry, he's going to go to jail. Something's going to or he's going to stay in jail. Something's going to happen, because he only spent 5 months in there. And then his bond kept dropping and he got out. And then after that, it was still, we had a trial date set. And I asked for an attorney for myself. They said, no, I could not have an attorney. I was not the victim, that they were there to represent Dakota. And of course, at that time, I don't know these things. I've never dealt with anything like this before in my life. So I'm thinking they're helping me. They're telling me what I should do, what I can and can't do, So I'm listening and I'm like, okay, I can't have an attorney. And then it just kept court date after court date, put it off. And then they called me one day and they asked me to be at court the next day. And I was like, okay, because I thought there was going to be a trial. I was going to get to give my victim's impact statement. I had been working on it. I wasn't finished with it. That's really hard to write, and it's not words you can just throw out of your mouth.
No.
So I had a bad feeling about it that next morning and I went to court. And they put us in this conference room every time. And the assistant DA, Crystal, she came in there and I just saw this, I don't know, it was just her vibe, this look on her face. And before she even sat down all the way, I said, you're going to dismiss this, aren't you? And she said, yes. And I got really pissed off and I was like, why? How can you dismiss this? All the evidence is there. How can you dismiss this? And anytime she would go in the courtroom, she would barely say a word. When the judge would call her up, she would barely say a word. She was not defending Dakota. She was not doing anything. And I asked her why, and she said Dakota did this to himself.
I could fucking scream when I hear that.
Yeah, she said he did it to himself, and it was self-defense. And that's when I freaked out. I'm like, how in the hell is this self-defense when my kid had no knife, no gun, no nothing? He had not even a pocket knife. He had nothing.
No.
What is he going to do? Hurt somebody with his keys?
Right.
Yeah. We were saying he was leaving.
Yes.
He was leaving.
Because where he was behind his car, the detective even asked Dakiria, if this wouldn't have happened, what do you think would have happened? She said Dakota would have left.
Right.
And wanted, I think after he finally got all his belongings, he would have left her alone. He kept asking and asking, can you put my shirt in the mailbox? Can you leave my stuff on the porch? And he called me one day and he's like, Mama, she says she's going to throw my stuff out on the street. And I texted her, I said, please don't do that. I said, if you don't want his things there, I will come and get them. And she never kind of responded about it. It was just kind of like it was, okay, whatever. And he just kept asking to come get it. She said no. Just like that morning, he called very early and asked if he could come. And she said no. And she was getting her hair done or something. And he said, okay. So he went on about his business. And then she called him and he didn't answer. She texted him a little bit later and told him he could come. Well, of course he's going to go. He wants his belongings, number one. And he wanted to see the oldest little girl because him and her were super close. And he loved her. He loved her like she was his own. And so that made him happy. And you can even hear in the audio that Dakiria gave that she said Dakota was asking to give Gabby a hug and she wouldn't let him. And if he would have just got his belongings and said, F this, honestly, like I'm done.
Yeah.
He was like a big flirt. He had plenty of girls she wasn't the only one, He just wanted his stuff.
The thing is, he was essentially invited into a home where there was a weapon.
Yes, he was invited. He did not go without permission because she said that morning, no, he did not go. And then she tried to say he was driving up and down the street. Well, how do you know if you weren't home, number one? And number two, he was in Cleveland, which is another little town about 30 minutes from Chattanooga, with his friends. That's exactly where he was when I talked to him.
We are not investigators or forensic psychologists or scientists or anything like that, or detectives. It doesn't take a fucking genius to see that this was not a case of self-defense, in my opinion.
They set him up.
Yeah. He was set up to go into a home where there was a weapon. He was pushed. He was leaving. This was a deliberate situation that I truly believe is being completely disregarded. We all have our opinions as to why. We won't say them on the podcast. It's pretty easy to figure out. There's something wrong. This person's being protected.
I would never deny that. Did Dakota probably throw a jar? Probably. You know, he was pissed off, probably. But do I feel like Dakota threw a jar and then ambushed inside to attack him when there's two little girls sitting there? A 2-year-old and a 3-year-old? No.
Children he loved?
One who he loved. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
So do I believe that part? No. Do I believe there was an altercation? Yes. Yeah. But
yeah, that's what we said too.
Yeah, I'm not so confident that Dakota started it.
We were talking about this during the episode, or that Jadarius didn't fight back. Like, Dakota had scratches that wouldn't have come from the fatal wound. So if you didn't fight back, how come his face is scratched? How come his neck is scratched? How come it looks like he was in a fight where it wasn't one-sided? It wasn't just him.
Absolutely. And because of all the, I never saw like the whole front of him. My daughter's boyfriend watched it while I was on the other side of the laptop. I just wanted to hear. I did not want to see. And he would stop things for me and explain things to me and cover things up so I could see other things. And, then there's another picture of Dakota laying there and he has a big scratch on his back.
Yeah.
Like right above, his waistband. And then he's got a cut on his finger. He's got this huge knot on his head. He has a cut on his nostril. He has a cut on his lip. Like,
it looks like he was in a fight.
Yeah. Yeah. He did not get all of that from falling forward and laying on his arm.
No. Absolutely not.
Because I did see that photo. I can't see his face, but I did see that photo. And the very first time I saw where they thought they redacted photos and they didn't do a very good job, his reflection is in the side of his car. And I could see him clearly laying on his arm.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Crazy. And then Jadarius has a tissue in his nose with not even a little bit of blood seeping out,
I know. And this was one of the questions I have always had, because they did find blood in the house. And initially I was like, it must have been from Jadarius's nosebleed. But if we go based on what Dacaria has said, I mean, we don't really know what Jadarius said about the whole situation. But I still think that was Dakota's blood, because he went to the room to get the shirts, to get some more clothes that was in the back room. So to me, I'm like, if Jadarius just sat on the couch and cowered like he said he did, well, then that's Dakota's blood, which he would have had to have gotten in a confrontation.
I feel like it is, because it's in the kitchen, it's in the hallway, it's in the bathroom, it's on the bedroom door. And they said Dakota went into the bedroom and that he got a jar of money and that it wasn't his. Well, I even still have a bowl of money that Dakota was keeping at my house. Dakota always had a jar or a bowl of money.
Yeah, so probably was his.
It probably was his. And he's like, I'm going to take it. Yeah. And like, they're just blaming it all on Dakota and making him out to be a monster. And like I've always said, I'm not saying Dakota wasn't a butthole, but he was my butthole, but he would never do what they're painting him to do.
No.
And I'm not just saying that because I'm his mom. Everybody would say that.
And you know what, Samantha? Even if he did, does that mean he deserved to be gunned down the way he was? Absolutely not.
No.
There is a big difference between getting into an altercation with someone who's been, keeping all your shit for weeks on end.
Yeah.
There's a big difference between getting into an altercation like that and things getting a little bit heated, and Jadarius's story, which is he was fearing for his life and it was self-defense. There's a huge, huge gap of a difference there.
Yeah.
It just doesn't add up.
If you were really scared of Dakota, you would have left before he got there, because you were supposed to go to work at around 5:00. So you either would have left before he got there, or Dacaria would have waited until he was gone to tell Dakota to come.
Yes.
And something that has always bothered me is, would this have been a different story if the story went that they were mid-fight and he shot him? Yeah, that would be a different story.
I've even said that.
They were done fighting. Dakota was leaving. He was on his way off the property.
Yep. And Jadarius
That's
left
not self-defense.
Yeah, Jadarius left the scene first.
Yeah.
You go outside where if you were really that scared. If I'm scared of something, I'm going to keep running.
Yeah.
I'm not going to stop and wait for him to come out.
No.
And then
and that's always bothered me.
Yeah, you cock the gun one time and it gets jammed, so you have enough time to cock it again, and then someone asks you, "Are you going to shoot me?" And he says, "I'm going to kill you."
That right there,
great.
Case closed, knowingly took someone's life. There shouldn't even be a question.
Yeah. Crazy. So on that note, and things that don't make sense in this case, I know that you haven't seen the body cam footage, which I fully respect. Ashley and I have both watched it. And as you know, a paramedic took a photo of Dakota on her personal phone.
I believe it was multiple.
When you learned of that, what went through your mind? How did you feel as his mom, knowing that now photos of him in his, darkest moment are now on someone's personal phone, being taken home, being sent to whoever we don't know, because there was never an investigation? What went through your mind in that when you first learned about that?
I really was like, how fucking dare you?
Of course.
My kid's laying there like that, and you as a healthcare professional know better. Like, all I kept thinking is my baby was laying there and people were just basically walking all over him and doing whatever they wanted and taking the photos, and then you send them, I'll send them to you, I'll text them to you. And I'm like, no, that's absolutely not okay. I mean, and it took me 7 years to find that out. 7 years to find that out. And then to know that someone says, let's get him back in his original position.
I know.
Could have screamed, Samantha, when I was watching this, and Chantal and I are like, the fuck is this a joke?
Yeah.
Like, is this fucking for real?
Yeah.
Like, this is absurd.
And, somebody might say, well, what were they supposed to do? Well, and we just talked about this. You screwed up. You made a mistake.
Yeah.
You did not have a proper photo taken of him prior to moving his body around. The answer isn't, well, let's just put him back into the position that we think he was in, and that'll be good enough. That is so unprofessional, because at the end of the day, these are supposed to be professionals that do their job properly.
Right.
And that bothered me to no end, that it was like, oh no, we screwed up. How are we going to cover this up? Well, we'll just put him back into the position that we think he was in.
Yeah.
No, you've already compromised the entire scene.
Because
so frustrating.
Also, like, when the video started, Chandler said that the video is like right on top of Dakota. Like the officer's right on top of Dakota.
Yes.
If you're responding to shots fired and someone has already told you that the person is deceased, why is your camera not already on when you step out of that?
Yeah, I know.
The whole thing smells really bad.
Because this would have, it's still horrible that she took the video. But all this being said, if we had the body cam footage from the moment he got out of the vehicle, we would have a good image of exactly the way they found Dakota before anybody touched him. But we don't have that either.
Nope. All you know, and all I was told is he's being very aggressively flipped back and forth.
Yes.
They have no compassion for him while they're doing all of this. And then you're just, like someone said in the end, I don't know which, if it's an officer, paramedic, like, what does it matter? He's dead anyways. What the hell are you doing, even being whoever you are in this field, if that's the way that you speak about deceased people?
Yeah, we say this all the time. Like, it's not for you.
Yeah. And that brings me actually to another question, because I just really want to drive this home, and especially because you are in the middle of a fucking nightmare as a parent. There's no other word for that. And I kind of want to know, what do you want people listening to understand about this fight for you? What it is like being constantly told you're being too pushy, just let it go. What is that like to continue to fight for your loved one, for your baby?
Basically, that the whole thing was set up. If you just go through the steps, the whole thing was set up. When you're in a situation like this, don't ever stop fighting for yourself. Don't ever stop fighting for your loved one, because you're the only one that's going to dig and dig and dig and dig until you find every tiny piece of evidence that you can find that they're telling you, oh, we're going to take care of it. We're here to help you. No, they're not. Not to the way they should be there to help a family like they would do it again if it was themselves.
That's right.
Yes.
You have to be the advocate. You have to stand strong. You have to be the one. I don't care about these stand your ground laws that they tried to put into place. Dakota was leaving the scene. Dakota was getting in his car. Dakota was not armed. And Jadarius has a barrier between him, and Dakota's not coming at you or anything, and you still choose to shoot him. And you wanted to kill him because you said you wanted to kill him. And things like that, that's not okay. And that's why I have a notebook here with approximately 110 pages of inconsistencies, misinformation, lies, everything that you can possibly think of that a parent would dig for.
Mm-hmm.
I think that you, Samantha, honestly, not every parent would do what you're doing. You are a beautiful mother. You are what every mother could hope to be a quarter of, to fight for their babies.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're a good mama.
Yeah. And we've seen this.
I don't care if I'm 46. I don't care if I'm 76. And that's when I get an answer. I'm not going to stop.
And the thing that I want listeners to fully understand is you're asking for the bare minimum, truly.
Yeah.
You're not asking for anything incredibly difficult. You're asking for, they've given you a portion of the evidence.
Oh yeah, I know.
And
they've
left out pieces that they can just give you.
Yeah.
Like there's no, and I was just telling our listeners earlier in the episode about the most recent email that you received saying that Jadarius's interview does not exist in their records.
It doesn't exist. So I called the investigator, Detective Slaughter, and he's like, no, Samantha, that's not true. He said, we have to keep these things for like 30 years. He said some, they're kept more. And so I asked him, would he ask Andrew if he could get the recording? Yes. He communicated with me 1 or 2 times. The last email I sent him was October 15th. He's not responding. The same as they all have done.
Up.
The attorney, the DA, the previous DA, the detective. Now I feel like they're being blocked somehow. Because they know 100%. They were messy. They know they did not fully investigate, and they know that they contaminated the scene from the very first police officer that walked up, touched the gun, touched Dakota, pulled things out of his pocket, because you can hear another officer say, never touch a gun on a crime scene.
Yep. Which you would think is pretty like day one police academy.
Fucking not even police academy. I didn't go to a police academy. I watched
I know
CSI.
that.
Yeah.
I'm not touching guns.
Yeah.
You fucking
I know.
crazy?
Yep.
I know.
And he
It's
just, as
so
soon as he
ridiculous.
stepped out of that car, he contaminated the scene and they knew it.
And the thing is, and the thing that I keep coming back to with this is we understand mistakes happen.
Yeah.
Admit
I
it.
fully understand. Exactly. And that's where this gets frustrating for me is sometimes, even as an agency, even as whoever, whatever police department, ADA, whoever it is, sometimes you have to be like, hey, we fucked up and we want to make this right. Here's what we can do. Here's what we have. Here's what we can show you. Here's the truth. And
But
you have to face the consequences of screwing something up like this.
No, it is
And they
easier
don't want
for
to.
them to let a killer go free than
Yep.
them have to admit that they fucked up.
Exactly.
They would
Yeah.
just rather they're trying to fluff it under the rug so their shit doesn't get spilt. But
yeah,
we're putting it out there.
And after this huge notebook I have here, all that I have, they said, what does it matter?
It matters because this is your baby. It matters because there is no justice. It matters because statistically speaking, people who commit violent crimes, especially when there is a death or anything like that, they will recommit violent crimes. So statistically speaking, if we're going to look at statistics, there's a good chance this person will fucking do something to someone again. And then where are they going to be?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, the case is still able to be opened. I have enough evidence. Just look at it and be truthful. You know,
That's it. And I know a lot of these agencies have said to you, like, well, what do you want us to do? Well, I want the truth.
Mhm.
Period. If you screwed up, I want to know that. I want to hear it from you. I want to hear you say, you know what, we really screwed this one up.
Yeah. But they will not say it.
But
They
they
just
won't.
say, what
No.
does it matter? No, it's just, I just wish that laws were different. People were more compassionate.
Mm-hmm.
This is your job. And I feel like they're numb to their job now and they just don't care,
Yeah.
100%.
And every person, we have a lot of shootings in Chattanooga, a lot. And every person here, I feel like is starting to become just a number. Just like Dakota, he's just a number to them.
Yeah.
They
He's
don't
not.
care. And they're never going to care. The only cases they are going to jump on is something that interests them and that they know is going to get publicity for them for doing a good thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, that's awful. So before we wrap up, Samantha, what does justice look like for you now?
The truth, not necessarily someone being punished. Would that make me feel better that he had to pay for what he did? Yes. But at this point, it's the truth. It's accountability for what he did, that you screwed up, and just and listen and understand that this was wrong. This was handled wrong from the very, very beginning. And I would literally take the truth and an apology instead of me being the bad person and me feeling like I have to apologize to them to get what I want.
Yeah.
Because that's basically what happened.
Yeah.
And I still didn't get everything I want because I know there's more body cam footage. I know there is. And I know there's more photos. There has to be. But I really just want them to stop brushing things like this under the rug. Stop letting it go and dig in to these things. These shootings and stuff are happening too often. And they're allowing it to happen more by dismissing things and doing stuff like they did with this.
100%.
Because they're going to do, all I have to say is, I feared for my life, so I shot them and now I'm free.
Right?
Because that's basically what they're telling people.
It's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
It's so out of control at this point. It is so out of control. And at the end of the day, if every single person like that shares a similar story to you, if they could reach out to us, let us know, because we're we're not ones to really back down.
Yeah.
Like
No,
we are
no.
not, we wanted to cover this episode because we want to get traction. We want your voice heard. We want Dakota to be remembered. He's not a fucking number. He's not some fucking, you know, asshole that brought this on himself like they're trying to paint him to be. He was a funny, fun-loving, beautiful person going through his awkward, you know, child to adult stage where he was figuring out, you know, what he wanted to do, how he wanted to do it.
Yeah.
That's all.
But you believe, or they believe, the person that's sitting in a house with a gun they found doing community service for a previous charge, and you have it around a 2 and 3 year old little girls playing in the house.
Right. This magic gun that just appeared was just lying around with kids.
He opened his eyes and there it was. It just jumped over there. Yeah, with 2 little girls and I know those little girls, they were playing in the house all over the place. The little girls used to live with me.
Yeah.
So, you know, and they've got to listen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
absolutely.
I hope this gets out there. So if anyone is listening, please share this with any mother you know, because this is what true love is.
Yeah.
If there is no...
Yeah. Yeah. And we're in so deep now. If you have had an experience in Tennessee that's similar, like we want to know.
Yeah.
Because now we're in.
Oh, there's several.
I believe that because this is the thing. And I mean, Samantha, like I care for you deeply and I can sit here and say like, you and Dakota are the only ones that I'm interested in. I'm sure there's hundreds like this, but now after seeing over the past few months that we've been communicating your treatment, your dismissals, all of this, I am very interested to hear of other families and other mothers and other sisters and brothers who have experienced something similar to this, because if we do not hold the agencies to account when they are behaving against the way they're supposed to be, then just like you just said, this continues.
Because
this
they
continues
know.
And there'll be another Samantha.
Yeah. And it's like, I kind of feel like if this is the way you're going to let things go, if someone were to walk up to me and, you know, act like they're going to hit me, can I pull out my gun and shoot them because I feared for my life?
Yeah.
Yep.
Because they were
according to them, yeah.
I mean,
absolutely crazy.
That's what they're letting them believe. And, you know, Dakota had a bright future ahead of him. He
did.
He was just, you know, I just co-signed for him a car a week before it happened. A week. He was so excited. He had saved all that money up. He was starting to get on the right track, even though, you know, he thought he knew it all.
Of course.
You know,
they all do.
Yeah, he was starting to get on the right track and realize, okay, I got to do things for myself. And I was proud of him. I was very proud of him. Yeah. And then, you know, someone thinks it's okay to take him away from me. But if it would have been the other way around, his mother would be, or Jadarius's mother would be feeling the exact same way that I feel.
Yes, 100%.
And she would be digging and asking questions. And
of course.
And I don't care how mad they get at me. No, I'm not threatening anyone. I'm not doing anything. I'm not stopping. If I have to expose it for years over and over and over, I'll continue to do it.
Here's the thing.
And we said the same thing.
Yeah. And you're not, you know, out there saying like, lock him up. You're not even asking them to do that. What you want is the truth.
Yeah.
And any mother, I don't give a fuck who you are, where you come from, what you believe. Any mother goes into mama bear mode and you protect those babies even after death.
Yeah.
Because it's your job, you know?
Yeah. But then if you get upset or you start asking questions, they take it personal. I'm not supposed to.
No.
But the DA's office and everyone else, the attorney and all them, they can take it personal because I'm being pushy and want to know.
But at the end of the day, they could pick up the phone and call their kid. You can't do that anymore.
You got Christmas, you got birthdays, you can tell them you love them.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
My kid is right here.
Yeah.
So.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. Well, Samantha, thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you.
We've learned to care about you. We've learned to care about Dakota. I think about Dakota often. This morning, Dakota and I have very similar hair. And this morning, as I was sadly brushing through my curls and making it just a poof mess, I was thinking about your boy.
And he was such a little country kid. It was like my dad was his only real father.
Yeah.
And my dad would come get him every weekend, and he would stay the weekend with my dad. And he would say, "Hey, Paul, you want to go outside?" And he would say, "Let's go get a Mountain Dew." Instead of Mountain Dew. Let's go get a Mountain Dew. And I'll never forget these words because, like, instead of Band-Aid, it was Boondaid. And he couldn't say forehead. It was Fordhead.
Fordhead.
And like, he was just such a country little kid that loved to play in the woods and hunt things. They called them varmints with my dad. And he was such a good kid. And even all his teachers and everybody after this was like, he was such a good kid.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not saying he wasn't ever a butthole, because he was.
Sure he was. Yeah.
And, you know.
They all are.
Yeah.
I've got 2 of them.
Yeah. But he was a good kid. He loved hard. And it's, you know, it's not fair.
It's not fair.
He got that hard loving from his mama, honey.
Yeah. It's not fair.
I like to believe that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's the truth. It's the truth.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for
We
doing
appreciate you.
Of
And
course.
we're going to stay in touch. If you get anywhere, as you're talking to people, like, please continue to send me, because I plan on doing updates on Dakota as often as we can and about the case. So if you come, you know, when you do get, because like you said, you're not going to stop fighting. So when you do get pieces here and there, even if it's years, even if it's months, let us know.
Yeah.
And we can keep updating everyone, because I can guarantee you our people are going to care about this.
We have to bring it forward so people know that this is wrong.
Yeah.
And everybody knows the system is broken, but why can't we try to fix it?
Well, maybe, you know, this could be a way that everyone remembers Dakota, because there has to be change.
Yeah.
And maybe
we have to
you're going to be the one, babe.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah. Guys, Samantha's story isn't unique, and that's the tragedy. Every time a family like hers pushes for answers and the system closes ranks, files go missing, interviews vanish, and these mothers are painted as emotional, irrational, unstable, and it always infuriates me, because why? Why are they being painted like this? They just want to know. I know every detail of how I brought my daughter into this world.
Yes.
She should know every detail about how hers left.
100%.
It's pretty basic to me.
And the consensus is, well, you're being rude by asking. You guys just heard us talking to sweet Samantha. There isn't a rude bone in that woman's body. This is absurd.
No, and these agencies that have come back and said, like, you're pushing too hard, you're asking too many questions. I've seen her responses.
Yes.
And grow up.
Yeah.
Grow up. I really get frustrated. Well, guys, the story of Aaron Dakota Biddle isn't over, as you heard. It won't be over until someone decides his life deserves a proper investigation, proper due process, and that his family deserves all of the pieces that answer the questions they have as to why Dakota isn't here anymore. That's what really, at the end of this all, that's what they want. They just want all the answers as to why their boy isn't here anymore. Until then, Samantha is going to keep doing what she's been doing since May 2018, fighting.
Yes.
And we can help by listening, by saying his name, by asking the questions, by telling people his story. Hey, I heard this story on the podcast.
Yeah.
Give it a listen.
If you know of anyone who has been through something where their voice wasn't being heard, this is a good one to share with them, because we need to fight. We need to ensure that we are also policing in our own way. Because
in our own community.
Yes. If no one will fight for you unless you're fighting as well.
Yeah, exactly. If you've listened thus far, you've joined Samantha in that fight. The fight to make sure Dakota's story is buried with him. If you believe in justice, share his name, share this episode. we have assembled a petition that Samantha will be sending to the powers that be to show that their treatment and mishandling of Dakota's case will not be pushed into the back drawer of a filing cabinet. The link is in the show notes, and we will also make a social media post about it. Please consider adding your name. The more names that we have on here, maybe these agencies will feel a little bit of pressure. Justice does not happen quietly. It happens when enough people refuse to stop talking about it.
Amen.
Yeah. So all that being said, thank you so much for listening. And we hope you have a good weekend, and we'll see you guys on Tuesday.
Tuesday. Bye.
Bye.